Hi, Joe Bonnier for Fastpitchpower.com. It's quickly come to month 3 of our 2014 off-season strength training program. In today's video, I'm going to demonstrate the exercises that are included in the next 12 training sessions. If you've been following along in month 1 and 2, you have a good handle on the exercise technique, and hopefully you have an idea of how the workout should feel, the flow of each training session, how to move from one exercise to another, and how to take an appropriate amount of rest. You'll see a very similar design in this month's program. Each day, or each training day, will be focusing on 4 or 5 exercises strung together as a circuit. You should perform 1 set of each exercise before moving to the next. You should take 1 to 2 minutes break in between rounds of each circuit. So those are really the fundamental design elements of the daily training session, understanding how to perform this workout as a circuit while still taking an appropriate amount of rest. This month, we get slightly more advanced. Okay? We add some exercises. I'm going to show you a speed training exercise. And different from months 1 and 2, in month 3, there's going to be a distinct rotation between an A session and a B session, which you will alternate over the next 12 training sessions. I will tell you that the sessions will still be similar. Okay, so you'll have enough repetition to really learn and become really good at each exercise. However, there are some critical and important adjustments between the A session and the B session that allows for appropriate rest and some variation, some variety in the workouts. It allows us to do a few different and include more exercises over the next 12 workouts. So I'll get to the exercises, and throughout I'll explain how they'll be incorporated into those, again, session A and session B days. All right. The first exercise that you're going to be performing each day is going to be another hip bridge variation to warm up, again, the backside, the glutes, the hamstrings, really the engine for athletes, for softball players. This month we're going to start on our back with our knees bent, toes up off the ground. So my heels are on the ground, toes are up off the ground. Important that feet start together, okay, close together. Palms will be on the ground. This month you're going to be performing a 1-leg hip bridge. So you're going to actively lock one knee up toward your chest, not out in front, bring it up toward your chest. Pushing through the other heel, you're going to bridge your hips up. Hold for a count and down. It's important, really important in this exercise that you're just using your legs. You're not thrusting your belly or your chest or your ribs up toward the ceiling. You're just focused on driving the legs up toward the ceiling again. So, starting with your feet close together, palms on the ground. Okay, actively lock one knee up toward your chest. Push through the heel. Push the hips up toward the ceiling. Hold for a count and down. You're going to perform 8 to 10 on each leg. Okay, up for a count and down. Actively keep this knee locked up toward your chest. Okay. That's going to be the first exercise regardless of the day, session A or session B. The next exercise is going to be a push-up regardless of the day, session A or session B. It's going to be some type of push-up variation that fits your ability. If you've been following months 1 and 2, I've given you plenty of variety of regressions and progressions to make push-ups harder or easier based on your capability. The standard here is that regardless of the variation, we want to be able to go all the way down to the ground and come all the way back up, maintaining good stability or alignment between our head, chest, and lower body, okay, which is what we want to transfer onto the field. If you follow along with the pitching-related videos, I talk about this. Phil and Carly refer to this as vertical stacking. We want to see that stacking. We want to see that alignment in all of our exercise execution, and the push-up is a great example. So, for athletes who are still building upper body strength, still working on building core and upper body muscular teamwork, we can still be on our knees. But even when I'm on my knees, I still want as best or as much as possible a straight line from my knees through my head. From here, my hands have to be wider than shoulder width. That's going to be a universal push-up principle. I'm going to go all the way down the ground and come back up, pivoting at my knees, all the way down and come back up. All right. More advanced version is going to be push-up lowering, where I lower myself nice and slowly all the way down to the ground in a full body or long push-up position. Again, hands outside my shoulders, body in a straight line, ideally from my heels all the way through my head. Want to bring everything down together as one piece. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ground, reset to my knees, then come back up. Because this is for athletes who have a really hard time coming back up. It gets ugly. We're just going to work on the lowering half. Next progression is going to be push-up lowering to a stop. Okay, this is really in between the lowering and then coming back up. Working on specific push-up strength, core stability, linkage between the lower body, the core, and the upper body, in the hardest part of a push-up, the bottom. Push-up lowering to a stop. Good push-up position. Okay, all the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2. And we're going to hold 2, 1, down. Then reset. You have to be very strict. You have to work very hard, maintain good alignment, hold at the bottom. One thing about push-ups, I mentioned this quickly in the last video, is that girls will tend to arrange or organize their hands too high. So when their face hits the ground, their face is in between their hands. Now this is going to make it harder for the girls at the beginning, but this is going to be more efficient and a safer position for the upper body and the shoulders as girls get stronger, as they build core strength and muscular teamwork and upper body strength and get better at push-ups. We need to bring the hands down, okay, outside our chest. An easy way to show them how to organize and set up appropriately or properly is to use a line, and hopefully you can see this line in this faded line on my turf here in the video. If I were to set up with a line connecting my hands, and I'm going to do a push-up, my face is not going to land on that line. It's going to be up beyond that line, on the way down, okay, and it maintains on the way up. Don't let your girls set up like this, with their face hitting the ground in between their hands. Not, in the long run, not a safe or efficient position for the shoulder. Okay, so I've shown you push-up from the knees, push-up lowering to a stop. Obviously, the next progression is push-ups. Same execution and principles apply all the way down as one piece, all the way back up. All the way down, all the way back up. If you're getting good at push-ups, one way to add a challenge is to add a pause at the bottom, but come back up. So push-up with a pause at the bottom. Down, hold, 1, 2, come back up. Down, hold, 1, 2, come back up. And that's going to be the most advanced version I give you this month. So if you're great at push-ups, okay, you can perform push-up with a pause at the bottom. Next exercise is going to be a speed training exercise. If you followed previous videos, you know that strength and power precedes speed development on the field. So these first month's routine, the first and second month, third month routine, and throughout the off-season, we're going to be really focusing on building lower body strength and core strength. But we also need to include some power exercises, some exercises that get us moving quickly. All right, this next exercise is a split squat jump. Make sure I have enough room here. I'll show you how this is going to be executed, and then we'll go through the coaching instruction. I'm going to set up, ideally here, at this bottom position, both legs, my knees are at 90 degrees, just about. 90-degree angle here, 90-degree angle on my back leg. Hands on my hips. I start up. I'm going to go all the way down, jump, and switch that position. I'm not touching the ground, I'm just barely above it. Come back up, switch. So I have to push really hard to jump toward the ceiling, switch my feet, okay, and land and control myself in that lunge position. I don't want to crash to the ground. Athletes of every level can do this. However, if it does look ugly, if your athletes are losing balance, if it looks unsafe, eliminate the exercises, regress, all right, make that decision, all right, and stick to just the strength training exercises. Okay, that's on you. All right, it should look how I'm performing or demonstrate the exercise. Lunge stance, nice and tall, jump, switch, and control. Jump, switch, and control. Okay, pretty much every time. Next station, another upper body exercise, a dumbbell row. Yeah, I'll quickly go over this since this has been included in months 1 and 2. As far as stance is concerned, we want to be in a very athletic position. Our butt is back and our knees are bent. We're going to reach out on something stable like a box or a bench and grab onto a heavy dumbbell. This movement begins with movement of the shoulder blade. Okay. I want to make sure the shoulder blade is down out of my ear. It's not elevated into my ear. I want to pull back and then row, keeping the elbow tight or close to my body. Shoulder blade back and row, and then reach. Shoulder blade back, row, and reach. 10, 15-pound dumbbells aren't going to get the job done. Need to go heavier. Next exercise. Lower body strength training exercise, and this is where the 2-day session A and session B will be different. Session A is going to be a continuation of months 1 and 2. Primary lower body strength training exercise, that's rear foot elevated split squats. To make it more difficult this month, okay, you're going to add a pause at the bottom. And this allows us really not to have to worry about loading up with too much weight. It's very difficult. You're going to get stronger, but we're going to work more on body control, balance, and good form before we just add weight in months to come because we have plenty of time. So you can grab onto some dumbbells. All right, again, in this position, we want to get situated. So my front knee is about at 90 degrees. My body is slightly shifted forward, slightly leaned forward. I'm not leaning back. Okay, so at the bottom, it would look like this. From the top position, I go down almost to the bottom, almost. Pause, 1, 2, come back up. Down, pause, 1, 2, come back up. Rear foot elevated split squat with a pause. In month 2, we had rear foot elevated split squat slow on the way down. This month, we're adding a distinct pause at the bottom. How long should you pause? It should be a pause. Okay? Anybody who watches the athlete perform the exercise should say, yes, she's stopping at the bottom. There should be no doubt about it. I don't care if it's 1 second or 3 seconds. Put the brakes on actively. Don't touch your knee to the ground. You're stopping an inch or 2 above the ground. Okay, so you're going to perform this prescribed number of rounds and sets per leg for session A. Session B, we're going to perform a different exercise. For lower body strength training, if you have mats available, I have these storage styrofoam mats here that I use with my athletes. If you have some kind of balance training device, something that's cushy enough to protect your athletes here, you need to be able to build it up on probably 6, 7, right, maybe between at least 5 to 8 inches off the ground to start for most athletes. It's going to be lower if they're shorter, higher if they're taller. On session B, we're going to perform something called a skater squat. And this takes the responsibility off the back leg in the rear foot elevated split squat and puts it all on the front leg. We don't have to use any additional weight in this exercise, so it's a great body weight training exercise for athletes of really all ages, all training experience. One thing that you'll see with the rear foot elevated split squat is that athletes will rely too much on their back leg. They'll kind of hang on their back leg, and the front leg won't get the development that we want. Because we want it on the front leg in a good, building strength in a good position to propel ourselves, which is going to be important for sprinting and pitching. In the skater squat, we're going to focus primarily, exclusively on the front leg. I'm going to start on one leg in this position. I'll start on my left. This heel is pulled up to your butt pretty much the entire time. And what we're going to do here, I'm going to break back at the hips. I'm going to bend my knee, touch my kneecap down to the mat, come back up, and stand nice and tall. Reach this leg back. Eyes are down. Eyes down on the ground for balance. Touch my knee down, come up. All right, nice and tall and balance. Focus of your weight distribution should be on the heel or the middle of the foot. Again, reach back, touch the knee down, come up, and balance. 6, 8, 10 reps, whatever I prescribe underneath this video. Skater squat. If you don't, I'm trying to give you every option possible here to make it convenient for you. If you don't have something like these mats, some kind of device, again, that's soft enough so if your athletes crash down into it, it protects them from hurting their kneecap. You guys can do step-ups onto a bench or the same box that you've used for rear foot elevated split squat. You can grab weight, you can use a medicine ball, any kind of resistance that you have. Okay. The only thing here, the only consideration I want you to know is that the height of the box, okay, it has to be such that you don't want your athlete's thigh too high. If the box is too high, or whatever you're stepping onto is too high, we run into a couple issues. One is that I end up rounding my lower back right before I start, putting myself in a really unsafe position to start the exercise. The other thing is that the box becomes very high, that it's a long way down to step down, and that becomes unsafe. So athletes can really lose control if the box is too high. I just made that look really ugly, but in reality, that's what it will become if this box is too high. It doesn't have to be, but if you have a box or a bench that's fixed height, you need to set up some steps, something for the athletes to step up from. So I grab my weights. I'm in this position with the thigh at 90 or slightly below. I want my weight shifted over the box. I'm going to be pushing again, mid-foot over my heel, with my chest over the box, straight up, control down. Straight up, control down. Okay? Chest over the box. So, on session A, you're going to be performing rear foot elevated split squats with a pause. On session B, you have the option to perform the skater squats or a step up, depending on what you have, depending on the equipment you have available for you. Both are going to work on developing the front leg. The rear foot elevated split squats, let's be honest, are tough and take a lot out of the legs, and especially when we're incorporating that speed training exercise, the split squat jump. We're going to be placing much more of a load on the legs this month than we did on months 1 and 2. But I did that intentionally because a lot of girls were still finishing up fall ball, and now girls have a little bit more time to focus on exercise and fitness without the stress of specific stress of being on the field. So they have a little bit more time to rest. Okay, we performed hip bridges. Next exercise is a push-up. Next exercise every day is going to be the split squat jump. Next exercise after that is going to be our dumbbell row or some kind of back training exercise. Mentioned in previous videos, if you go to the gym and they have a machine row, a seated machine row, I'm okay with that. If you want to do pull-ups, I'm more than okay with that if you can, if you have that available to you. But if you just have a set of heavy dumbbells, at least up to 50 pounds, all right, progress every week or every session or so. You know, don't be afraid to get strong and go up in heavy weight. The second way that session B and session A are different is going to be with our core training. We're going to use two different exercises that we haven't seen in the previous 2 months. Session A is going to be dedicated to leg lowering. Session B is going to be dedicated to this different side plank, again, that I haven't had you perform. We're only going to do one core exercise per day because we're at that kind of limit, function limit of 5 exercises where, you know, 6, 7 exercises becomes a little bit too much. The focus kind of becomes on getting the station to station and not focusing on the quality of each station and of each exercise. Okay, so on session A, we have this wall ball push, leg lowering. I need to organize myself close to a wall or a stable box. I'm going to have a medicine ball in my hands. Right? If you don't have a medicine ball, you can use your hands pushing into the box. But if you have a ball, you're going to use it. Push into the box, push into the wall, anything that's stable. From this position, I'm going to start with my legs up and my knees bent. Okay? That's the starting position. Pushing into the box, knees up and bent. It's important that your lower back doesn't arch too much and your ribs don't flare up toward the ceiling. A good way to ensure that you're doing this correctly, because sometimes it's hard to communicate exactly what the core needs to be doing over video, is to put a towel roll underneath your middle back. I don't want to say lower back because people end up putting it underneath their butt. It's really under your middle back. Just in this position, okay, you should be trying to crush the towel or the imaginary towel if you don't have one. Okay, parents, teammates, if you're working with your daughter, if you're working with your teammate, come by, try to steal that towel away from that athlete. Okay, that'll teach them to engage their core properly real quick. Once you're turned on, you can't lose it. As we perform this exercise, you always need to be thinking about crushing that towel. So, I get organized here, ball against the wall, I'm pushing the ball hard against the wall, crushing the towel, getting long, and bringing it back. Crush the towel, get long, and bring it back. try hard. It's hard. It's going to be hard for your parent or teammates to know if you're working really hard. It's really on you. You have to push the ball hard into the wall of the box. You have to crush the towel and maintain that focus. It's not just about reaching your leg down and getting the heel down to the ground. You focus on the details of that exercise. That exercise is going to be called dead bug leg lowering, wall ball push, something like that underneath this video. That's your core exercise on session A. Session B, we have a bent leg side plank exercise. In this month, last month we had our top leg in front. This month, top leg is going to be down. Okay? So, the inside of this left knee here is going to be on the ground. Outside of my right foot is going to be on the ground. I'm in like a 90-degree position with the back leg, a 90-degree position with the front leg. From here, I'm going to pop my hips off the ground. Outside of my right foot stays down, inside of my right knee stays down. This knee comes up off the ground. I'm going to give you a bunch of different angles here in this demonstration. Bridging up. Okay? You're going to feel this in the side of your abs and the inside of your thigh. Right from the side. Show you the other side. Again, 90 degrees with the back knee, 90 degrees with the front knee. Top leg stays down. Inside of that knee stays down. This foot stays on the ground. Okay, pop up, pop my hips up to the sky. Bring this knee up. You're going to feel this in the inside or the outside of your abs here, inside of this top leg. Bridging up, pushing the hips up to the sky. Straight line from your head through your knee. Okay, and last view. Straight line, ideally, hopefully, from my head through my knee. This knee stays down, this foot stays down. 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Pop up. Push this hip up to the ceiling. And relax. That's every exercise that's going to be included, including the two different lower body strength training exercises that I want you to alternate each day, and the two different core training exercises. If you have any questions, comments, it's a lot of information. It's very hard, filming these videos for a big audience with a lot of different athletes of a lot of different levels. If you have a question or comment specifically for your athlete, any specific considerations regarding a nagging injury that your daughter had in the fall or the summer, or any considerations for a multi-sport athlete. Say your daughter's playing basketball this winter. Are these exercises appropriate? How should I be arranging her softball workout schedule with her basketball practice schedule? Let me know. Okay, I have to answer those questions on an individual basis, but chances are, if you have a question, many other people are in the same situation. We have plenty of viewers between the website, between Facebook and YouTube right now. So a lot of different people getting this information. However, there's always adjustments, on an individual basis that need to be taken into consideration. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the positive feedback. As I mentioned last week, if you really appreciate this video, if you think more people can benefit, if you have one friend with one daughter who can benefit from this exercise, just one, share it on Facebook. Hopefully they see it. We continue to build this community. Thanks for watching. Post your questions in the comments. I'll talk to you next week.